Hello, my name is Grian, and today we're back with another build school, this time going on bridges. I have created two cliff faces and a chasm which is going to simulate where we're going to build our bridges. I'm going to show you a few different designs and hopefully that will give you the techniques you need to make your own bridge. Let's get into it. Here is the first design. This is a very simple bridge. It just hangs over the edge. So important, you need to make sure that both sides are the same Y coordinate. You need to make two small ruts using log, and in between them you simply use half slab going down at regular intervals until they meet in the middle. Using two different colours is a very effective way of detailing it, although it's very small, and this is a great design that you could do at an angle. Once you've done that, you can then use fence to just make it look like it's being suspended in some way rather than just free floating. Or, if you are not a fan of the fences, you could alternatively go and try something like this with log and using some staircases or something like that. It's not a big deal. This is a very simple design for a small bridge. You probably wouldn't use it if you were doing a grand design, but it is a nice, simple, easy and cheap bridge nonetheless. Now let's get into some of the more complex bridges. It's always important that you make sure that your two sides are at the same Y coordinate or you're going to end up with a wonky bridge. You need to make sure you make a curve over the top and it needs to be equal on both sides, and then replicate it to the other side of your center point. That way you have a completely arched bridge. I'm using log here and I will be using very similar blocks throughout the tutorial, but you could use whatever. I'm just trying to teach you some of the techniques. Right now I'm using half slab and just making the connections over the arch a bit smoother. Now I'm going to take half slab again using that wood, and go over the archway on the inside, making sure that I have a lip over the sides. I'm then going to take weld edit and just stack it over, but you can do that by hand, easy peasy. And there we have sort of a free floating arched bridge, but you may think to yourself quite correctly that that really isn't enough, it doesn't look natural. There are multiple things we can do to improve this. The first one is taking the half slab and just improving the actual bridge itself, just by giving it a curved shape and then replicating it on the other side. This effectively just makes it look less square, although that's a little bit odd to say. It actually makes it look a lot nicer. But most importantly, the thing we have to edit to improve our bridges is the underside. It looks so thin, and correctly so. So what we can do is add some extensions on the top, but for this design, I want to completely make sure I'm in the center and replicate the same arch that I did in the middle underneath, and you'll see why in a second. I'm now going to take my log block and make it look like it is being supported by this undersided beam. And hopefully the video can talk louder than my words, because this is actually quite difficult to describe, but it is a V-shaped support beam system with that overriding arch, and all it does is detail the underside of our bridge to make it look more realistic, and it looks a lot better just in general because it's not free floating. And just to finish off this design, I'm gonna add another support beam right at the top to make it look like it is finally supported in the middle as well. And I'm going to use weld edit to completely turn them all into six-sided log, and that completes that design. But what I'm going to do now is copy paste that over, and I'll show you another few designs that we could use with this bridge. So the first one is, again, making the arch underneath but 2 blocks back instead of in the middle, and only slightly beneath it, and then putting stone behind it. And as you can see, that just gives it that extra level of depth and detail that would make the bridge look better. On the other side, we're going to take a slightly different approach and try out a different design. Again, we need to create that arch, but directly below our original one, but a bit further down. And once we've done that, connect up the two sides 1 block behind with anything of your choice. I'm using stone here just for the purposes of this video, and then fill it in with whatever pattern you want. I'm just doing one off the top of my head at the time with log and some fences, very simple. Then again, changing it all to 6-sided log. And there we go, we have our completed bridge, and I do give it a little bit of a texture, adding some andesite in there as well. But those bridges only cover a very small area, and you wouldn't find them very appropriate for a big area like this. So now we're going to tackle huge stone ones, which is probably what you were after with bridges, because you are often confronted with large spaces like this. So as you can see, I've got a big rectangle and I have found the center. Very important that you plan out where you're going to be building your bridge. Now I'm going to make just a simple archway. You can do whatever you want with this build. I'm just going to try and teach you some very basic techniques so that you will have the skills necessary to make your own. So as always, when we're dealing with the frame, we build one block back and we're going to fill in the rest of it with stone. I didn't use weld edit for this little part because I thought there was something oddly satisfying about watching me place blocks all the time, but obviously I'm not going to do that the whole time. I just thought it would be nice to see me suffer. Anyway, we're going to continue on and finish off the rest of that, just copy paste it over the top, and we have a complete bridge with a archway. But as you can tell, there's huge expanses of stone which are not okay, and we can also detail this arch a bit better by thickening it up with some staircase and some half slab, and it just improves the arch in general. But the biggest thing to detail is this giant stone slab that we've got. So there are a few things that we can do. One of them is to decorate it with further arches. So we can actually add two smaller ones either side, or one either side, and have these extra arches that just sort of segment up the entire bridge. I've made mine different sizes to kind of demonstrate what you could do, but you could have equal sizes, and indeed in real life I've seen plenty of bridges which just have one after the other same size. So now I'm just replicating it over the top, and I'm just extending the stone to complete the archway in the middle. Not doing that by hand because it would take absolutely ages, but you get the idea. Very simple stuff. So now I'm going to go back and teach you a few more detailing techniques. Very, very simple stuff. I'm not one to over detail everything, but this is something that you can do and make up your own little design. I just did this off the top of my head, so all I'm doing is knocking in one layer and then decorating it with half slab and staircase and creating a coloured clay layer behind it, and it just gives that extra perspective, that extra little detail of depth, and a colour change as well, which is always important. Although I've gone completely grey on this because I'm going entirely stone, you can do whatever colour you want. So now I'm going over to address the issue that the entire top bit is flat. So what I'm doing now is creating these bits that go in the air in a sharp point, and they also look a little bit like diamond shape, but again, you could make any shape you want. I'm just trying to show you that a good way to decorate your bridge is to add a variety of shapes along the edges. You could, for example, at the two ends do an archway and have sort of like a gate and barriers, stuff like that. I'm just sort of coming up with some random ideas for my little bridge that I have made, and you can mix and match all of these different design ideas that I've kind of thrown at you today with the variety of stuff that I showed you earlier as well, and you can make it work for your bridge. You have to adapt to the size that you need to cover with your bridge. That's very, very important, and that's all that I really wanted to show you today. And I hope I've addressed some of the issues that you wanted with bridges, because this was a recommended video. And so, if you've made it this far into the video, I have to thank you so much for watching the entire thing. I often forget that people don't watch the entire thing, so they never reach this message at the end. So, if you are here, you are the special few that actually really enjoy the entirety of my videos, so I feel really grateful that you're listening to my voice right now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will be working on a castle one, but I haven't quite figured out how to make it work for me. I sort of did this bridge video first because I had an idea on how to do it, and I really, really hope that I got my message across with the different techniques that you could use and how you can mix and match them together to suit the bridge that you need to make. So, anyway, that's it from me. I will also have in the future a vlog video coming out of just a small update and conventions that I'm attending and that kind of thing. So, as usual, if there is any more video suggestions that you would like to tell me about, I am all ears. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye!